My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. We break down full UFC fight cards every single week, giving you our picks, predictions, our bets, and our fantasy plays. So make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. And if you want $50 free, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 different betting partners who all offer their own promotions, their own matches, and their own giveaways. And then on top of that, after you sign up and after you make a deposit, we send you $50 however you want it. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, wewantpicks.com/bets. Next up at UFC 275, we have Jack Della Maddalena taking on Ramazan Emeev. Jack Della Maddalena, 11-2 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, and he's coming off a first-round KO win. Ramazan Emeev is 20-5 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a close loss to Danny Roberts. Jack Maddalena, I said he's coming off that solid win in his UFC debut, but let's not forget, his opponent had only 4 fights.
Was a beast.
He was absolutely...
Pete Rodriguez is an absolute monster. Don't forget, that guy is an absolute world beater.
He had 4 fights ever, has no business being in the UFC, was nowhere near ready for a fight like that. So yes, Jack smoked him, and Jack was supposed to smoke him. He is a striker with an interesting style. He plots forward on his toes with really nice step-in jab, a really nice step-in jab. And then if you respond, you ate the jab, and now it's time to throw something back. He just takes huge steps back, way out of range, and then restarts that cycle over and over and over. He has deceiving power. I compare him to Sean Strickland, where it doesn't look like he's throwing power, but they start to add up, and they start to really hit people and do some damage and rocking people in some cases, even finishing people. He's got solid takedown defense, but his offensive takedowns can use some work. Ramazan Emeev is a very well-rounded fighter. He's a solid kickboxer who will chain wrestle when needed. He averages more than 2 takedowns per fight, and his accuracy is a low 29%, and we have talked about this time and time again. All that tells you is that he is a chain wrestler. He will take a shot, not get it, transition, and then eventually get that takedown, with each transition being recorded as another attempt, when the reality is it's the same entry and he's just working to get it to the ground. So you might be able to defend his first one, maybe a second, and then he's going to work you down from there. Yeah, I lost my train. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, teleprompter went out.
He is a Dagestani. Despite his Dagestani heritage, though, I would say he's a solid kickboxer. He's a good kickboxer. He flows really well between his striking and his grappling. He does not have a ton of power, but he does have plenty of cardio to keep a pace for a full 15 minutes. And I think this entire fight comes down to Jack's takedown defense. That's it. This whole fight just relies on, can Jack defend some takedowns? Because when Ramazan gets the takedowns, he dominates. But when he can't, like when he went 2 for 7 against Danny Roberts or 0 for 9 against Anthony Rocco Martin, he looks desperate, and the judges hate that. I hate that I like so many underdogs on this card, especially coming off UFC Vegas 56, where only 2 underdogs and 14 fights won. But I think Emeev gets it done here. I think his striking will flow well between, he'll flow well between his striking and his grappling. I genuinely think he's going to get those takedowns. If you go back, I mentioned Jack's got decent takedown defense, but if you go back and watch some of his regional fights, he fought Glenn Pettigrew, and Greg Pettigrew was able to work in takedowns, and he doesn't have anywhere near the wrestling abilities that Ramazan does, or the cardio. So I like Emeev, the nonstop wrestling, the nonstop pressure. I fully recognize that Maddalena has real power, an insane jab that can be frustrating, but I do think Ramazan Emeev gets this done for what feels like my 17th underdog pick of the night.
Yeah, so something has to give in this fight, because Emeev is a guy coming off 8 straight decisions, and Jack Della is a guy that only has 1 decision in his entire fight. So something has to give. I actually don't disagree with your analysis again. I think the analysis is fine. Remember, listen to our analysis, not necessarily the pick, and then pick whichever side you want. Emeev, if he is able to get the takedowns, he probably does win the fight. But even if he's able to get the takedowns, this is, like, as I mentioned, a decision fighter. He's not somebody that gets people to the ground and finishes him. that means, I don't know what exactly that means. If Jack is able to get back to his feet, I just love Jack's ability, the way he's so fluid and the way he switches stances in his striking and the way he's able to throw that jab from both sides, southpaw and orthodox. And especially, I think it's his southpaw side that he's really, really effective with that jab. And a guy that isn't a finisher, Emeev, the longer this fight goes on, the more he's going to eat jabs and eat jabs and eat jabs and eat jabs. Because Jack is a guy that would just pressures you, and he's in that range. He's always in that jab range. And you saw that Pete fight, that last Pete fight. Pete's probably the best boxer, maybe alive. I didn't want to say that, but Pete is probably one of the best boxers alive. If Pete is fighting Floyd Mayweather, I think he knocks out Floyd Mayweather in the first round. And Jack Della,
somebody's gonna hit up the comments thinking you're serious
and be like, "What? Oh my God, Floyd Mayweather would dominate that guy." Yeah, obviously, you clown. Jack Della was just destroying that dude's face inside of 2 minutes with the jab, just boom, boom, boom. The longer this fight goes, Jack Della will just sit there and just jab and jab and jab, break this dude's face, and finally start sitting on shots. I've placed 2 moneyline bets on this card so far. One is Liang Na, full unit. This one, I actually kind of wish I would have waited because the odds ballooned them, I think, minus 170. So I put 1.7 units on it to get a unit back. They're actually back down to, minus 155. But I like Jack Della in this fight. Just the way he moves and switches stance, I think is going to be an issue for Emeev to find those takedowns. And if he cannot find those takedowns, as you mentioned, it's going to be a big, big issue. So Jack Della to get those jabs off and then sit down on a punch. We'll see if he can find the finish.
So looking at these two guys, who do you think, just looking at their faces, is better at striking?
Yeah, he's got a little crooked nose.
Yeah.
His nose is a little crooked.
It's not great. That dude definitely has a sleep apnea machine.
And he needs the Mike Perry where you just take the nose out. And then the problem's solved.
Floppy skin.
Have you seen Mike Perry do that where he just smashes his nose down completely? He has no bone left in his nose. He can make it flat. I mean,
it's disgusting.
That's what I would do if I was a fighter and I was really dedicated to sport. And I am a fighter. I mean, don't get it twisted. You come at me and you're gonna get dropped. No, but if I was going the professional route instead of the modeling route, I would just remove my nose bone. No more boners.
Anyway, it's basically a pick 'em in DraftKings. So again, the odds in DraftKings, I guess it's somewhat even, the odds, but DraftKings made it as close to a pick 'em as they normally do. So you can't choose your side. Do you think Maddalena wins by stoppage? He should 100% be in your lineup. We're talking $8,200. You can't beat that price. If you think Ramazan Emeev gets a bunch of takedowns, a bunch of control time, cruises to a decision win, he should be in your lineup because $8,000 to score 70, 80, 90 points, you can't beat that either. What?
I have I was gonna say Dana is $8,300. Dana is in my lineup, not Jack Della, because I like him a little bit more to get the early stoppage.
That's fair. I picked against both of those guys, but that's definitely fair. Monkey Knife Fight strike line. It's just so funny. Like, none of this makes any sense because, like you mentioned, Jack, it's all stoppages. Yet fight goes the distance is minus 180. So the bookies have said this guy wins by stoppage, and we think he's going to win. But the over on the round line it's logically not making sense. Same with the number of strikes, 81 strikes, 51 strikes. That's a lot of strikes. I think this is a less-more situation. I don't think Jack Della is going to land 81 strikes. I do think Ramazan Emeev is going to get the takedowns and land a bunch of strikes on top. So I like
Emeev plus 3.5 is minus 230. That's pretty. It's pretty hefty.
Yeah, and if you don't know what the minus 3.5 or no plus 3.5, if you don't know what plus 3.5 is, you're just buying a round on the scorecard. So Ramazan Emeev just needs to win one round on his own. I bought a round, and then I get paid if he wins one. So the bookies have said Jack Maddalena is going to win this fight. It's going to go the distance, and it's going to be 29-28. That's essentially what the bookies have said. But that's not what their records tell you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not.
Oh, I know what you mean.
It just doesn't make any sense. And obviously lines move with money, so they just follow the money. But anyway.
Ooh, I move too.
Okay. If you want to check out Monkey Knife Fight.
Do you get it, though? Do you know what I mean on that one?
If you want to check out Monkey Knife Fight, weonpicks.com/MKF. You sign up, you make a deposit, they match that deposit. Give them 100, they'll give you 100. Take their money, their free money that they gave you, and play some of the lines there. If you want $50, literally for free, the only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets. You sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you.